I'd like to call to order the November 18, 2014 meeting of the Buncombe County Board of Commissioners. And as always, we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance followed by the invocation. Please join me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if you'll join me in prayer. God, we experience Thanksgiving in the coming weeks. Help us to see the blessings that we have and the blessings we may be to other people. This week is National Hunger and Homeless Awareness Week in our country. As we are thankful for all the wonderful gifts and assets we have, we must also understand that many Americans do not share in our bounty. Many citizens and their children and grandchildren will go to bed hungry tonight, not be sure where they will sleep, be uncertain about how they will be fed and housed tomorrow. Give us compassion and understanding to work toward helping these families and citizens that have less than we do. Help us to particularly ponder the intact families and citizens who want to do better, but through circumstance and situations can't seem to do so. Our county is only as good as how we treat our weakest citizens. We should not boast of plenty when many Buncombe County residents have nothing. Give us insight and wisdom to discuss policies and laws that help all of us, including some of the forgotten people who have no power, no home, no food, and very little hope. This Thanksgiving season, help us to remember that but for a few turns in our lives, we too could be homeless, hungry, and helpless. And help us to be the best people we can and make the best decisions that help Buncombe County become a better place to live. Amen. We'll next talk about our ethics rules here. In accordance with the Code of Ethics adopted by the Board, all commissioners have a duty to obey all applicable law concerning official actions, to uphold the integrity and independence of the office, to avoid improprieties in the exercise of their official duties, to faithfully perform the duties of the office, and to conduct the affairs of the governing body in an open and public manner. Is there any item on the agenda, the outcome of which will have a direct, substantial, and readily identifiable financial impact for any board member? Also, does any board member have a financial interest in any public contract coming before this board? If none, our state law requires that all board members have a duty and obligation to vote. So the standards are the direct, substantial, and readily identifiable financial impact, or a financial interest in the public contract that we might consider here today. Everything else is mandatory for us to vote. With that being said, we'll go on to public comment. The time limit for comments is 3 minutes. If your time expires, you can leave any questions along with your name, address, phone number, or email with the county manager. Commissioners are not expected to comment on matters during public comment. This is your time to talk with us. And comments should be limited to subjects that are within our jurisdiction or to pertain to matters upon which we may act. Any individual speaking during public comment shall address the entire commission. It's inappropriate to poll board members or ask how we might vote on things, because this is not what public comment is about. Persons addressing the board are expected to observe the decorum of the chamber and be respectful of everyone in the room. Any person who willfully interrupts, disturbs, or disrupts the session will be asked to leave the meeting. And our board reserves the right to deny public address on any subject that has previously been presented to us or handled in the board. So, is there any public comment tonight? Yes, sir, in the back. Who wants to go after this gentleman? Yes, ma'am, on the third row. You'll be next. Thank you.
Commissioners. My name is Timothy Sadler, and I want to start off by commending Commissioner Gant on that moving invocation. Actually, wanted to mention a meeting that I was recently a part of with the local food policy council, and that's kind of what brought me out tonight. There's a great program called Feast, and I'm not going to waste my time by spelling out the acronym, but it's really great. And I wanted to point out that this program is happening in part of the county. I believe it's just the city schools that have access to this support. And what Feast does is it gets kids interested in eating healthier and supporting our local economy and encouraging more farming with the land. And so what they do is once a week they visit each classroom of the schools that they're affiliated with and go and work with the kids. And I attended the hub meeting today with the county and the city, and there was a lot of talk about education and how important it is to close the achievement gap here in public schools. And we'll just ask particularly the Republican commissioners to listen to these folks. Kate, Justin is her name, who's the director. And it would be really worthwhile for y'all to hear more about what they're doing and looking to do in the community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Sadler. Yes, ma'am, on the third row. Who wants to speak after this lady? Okay, yes, sir, on the end, fourth or fifth row. Can't see through the thing.
My name is Mary Standard, and I am a registered voter from District 2 of Buncombe County. But where I live is actually a difficult question for me to answer, even though I serve on the town council in the town of Montreat. According to my North Carolina driver's license and the Buncombe County tax rolls, I do indeed live in the town of Montreat. However, according to the Buncombe County Board of Elections, they continue to maintain that I, along with all other registered voters in Montreat, do live in the town of Black Mountain. Who knew? And yes, this did cause some problems at the polls during the last elections. And no, I did not really come to speak of this issue at today's meeting. Today, I came to publicly thank each of the commissioners for your service to the citizens of Buncombe County over the last 2 years. Mrs. Joyce Hughes of Ridgecrest and I came before you first almost 2 years ago. Commissioner Frost had not yet been sworn in, and Commissioner Fryer had just been seated. Mrs. Hughes and I came to ask two things of the board. One, we came to ask your assistance in opposing a 200-acre solar farm proposed on the heavily forested and steep slope of Ridgecrest. This project had already gained considerable traction, having received a certificate of public convenience and necessity from the North Carolina Utilities Commission and an editorial endorsement from the Asheville Citizen-Times. You, as a commissioner, responded quickly to our request and responded by asking the county staff to investigate. The project was ultimately withdrawn. We thank you and the county staff for making this happen. Two, we came to ask that the Buncombe County Land Use Plan be updated to include policy on renewable energy resources. You, as a body, moved forward on this front as well. And with a unanimous vote, the commissioners, you, approved such an update in January of 2013. This update did not limit the appropriate use of renewable energy, but protected the taxpayers of Buncombe County from unexpected consequences and unexpected costs. Again, we thank you and our county staff for that. Public service as an elected official is not always easy, but what you do and what you have done is important, and often the choices that you have had to make have been difficult. On this issue, you were able to stand and vote as one. Buncombe County, present and future, was well served by this unanimous action. Again, I close with a public thank you for your leadership and service.
Thank you for your leadership on the town council, Mayor. I value my meetings every month with Mayor Taylor. We hear a lot about the good things you're doing, and we're proud of what Montree stands for. Thank you.
I'll take that back to the council.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, sir. Who will speak after this gentleman? Mr. Ross, be next.
Good afternoon, Chairman Gant and Commissioners. My name is Patrick Irwin, and I reside in District 2. I'm here today representing Chain-Free Asheville and the citizens who believe that the time is now for Buncombe County to enact an anti-tethering ordinance for dogs. I have now made this request for the fourth time in 2014, the first being nearly 9 months ago on February 18th. The most recent was on August 5th. We have made formal requests for our proposal to be placed on your agenda. We have cited many studies and research that confirm that an unattended tethered dog is both a safety issue to the public and inhumane treatment of the animal. We have listed states, counties, and municipalities that have enacted anti-tethering laws, nearly all of them without support groups such as Chain-Free Asheville. We have given you the names of Carolina counties that have enacted anti-tethering ordinances that have had no increase in cost to operations and have reduced their number of calls for animal cruelty. We have told you our history of helping the city of Asheville achieve success with their ordinance. We have continually built fences for eligible families in the county since 2008 and are currently in a strong financial position, as well as have a loyal group of volunteer fence builders. We have told you of the endorsements from the Asheville Humane Society and Brother Wolf for our proposal. Frankly, we do not know how to interpret your lack of response to our many requests. Perhaps you've been occupied with the recent elections, or perhaps, since nothing has happened since our initial request, which was 9 months ago, that some of you believe that the current ordinance is enforceable and adequate, and therefore condone the action of confining a dog to a 10-foot chain for the entirety of its life, resulting in a miserable dog which could potentially be a safety hazard for the community. I am here alone today, but represent a multitude of concerned citizens who are more than willing to fill your chambers in the future during any public input sessions. We have tried to be respectful of your time, present facts in our arguments, and have been responsive to all actions that you requested of us. This issue is important and dear to our hearts, and we will continue our efforts until this anti-tethering ordinance is passed. Please do not confuse our approach with a lack of motivation, determination, and support from a large number of your voters. The time is now for Buncombe County to have an anti-tethering ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Irwin. It is unlawful to do what you suggested. You can't tether dogs like you do under our current law, but I think you know that, and we'll be glad to provide copies if you don't have them. Yes, sir. Mr. Price?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I really got a good education in that school of government training y'all had. That's 8.5 hours of video. People ought to go look at that online and just see what y'all need to do. Not that you're doing it, but you need to do. It's a great training. I got a lot out of it. That's the second one I've been in. The ethics statement, Mr. Gant, came right from that training. You did a good job. You listened. The other thing is that the whole commission didn't even listen to the training. At the end of it, I'd like for people to go and look at the last 45 minutes. Everything that the lady told you to do, you turned around and just slapped her. You didn't even use what she told you to do. You need to review the video, and then you might make even a better commission. If I sound like I'm lecturing you, I probably am. If you're gonna do training, you need to listen to it and use it. When public comment comes up, bow your head because you need to pray for it. You don't need to look at it, just pray for it. Because when I hear the public comment statement, I sound like somebody giving me my Miranda rights before I've ever done anything, you know, whatever. Now, let's get on to the real subject. You're here to do one thing, tax and spend. And you're doing a good job of it before, and I'm sure in the next 2 years, we're gonna see some of the worst kind of taxation as well as spending that we've ever seen in Buncombe County. Because when you got 4 liberals, I call them, at the helm, and they've got the authority, that's what we're gonna see. You don't like that? Just look, I think the public needs to be charged to watch, and we're gonna see some pretty stiff money spent, big time. On the nonprofits, they come in here and they cut their wrists for $12,000, $5,000 for people to get help, and they have to beg for it. Now we've got one that wasn't even nonprofit, come in here and got 1.3 for the west side out of any property, and I'm gonna keep saying it, because they wasn't even a nonprofit, and they got 1.3. They're just proposing to be a nonprofit. Then they went for TDA and got about 2 more million. Plus, the same group of people that done this, they've got hundreds of thousands even before that with the property out there. So I think if you're going to use nonprofit status, you need to do it fairly and with a policy that is fair to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Any other public comment tonight? All right, if not, in pre-session, we have talked about the agenda. When we adopt the agenda as it's been proposed, we also automatically adopt the consent agenda items. So is there a motion to follow the agenda as we've discussed in pre-session, as it's been publicized on our website